So tonight, I want to warn you, maybe a long one. I got some breaks in there. It probably will be about hour and a half class or so. I do have some breaks built in because I got a ton of notes. But this class I've been working on for years. It's the tools I've learned over 15 years. Everything, how I've changed my mind from somebody that was like just hopeless in life to somebody that looks forward to every day and is kind of living the life that I do now and having all the friends that I do now. Well, 8:05, let's get into it. Cool. Yeah, I'm still playing around with the Streamlabs settings, getting my webcam right. Still getting used to that YouTube delay. We got about a 30 second. Oh, there we go. Now everybody should be able to see the presentation. Gonna read a little bit of the intro and then we'll get into it. So tonight's talk is all about mindset. Mindset is your most important asset. It's what determines success or failure in most instances. Um, and so tonight's talk about mindset is about how to become a person that people actually want to have in their lives. What if I told you the main difference between people who overcome social anxiety and those trapped in social isolation isn't their appearance, wealth, or skills, but their growth mindset? Tonight, I'm going to teach you the most important self improvement strategy I ever learned, your abundance mindset, that mental lens determining whether low self esteem shows you obstacles or positive psychology reveals possibilities. Colors every interaction in your journey from loneliness to connection. Meaningful mental health transformation takes consistent motivation, but it has the biggest payoff for geeks and gamers alike. By our session's end, you're going to understand exactly how life coaching principles can help you be likable, be successful, and become someone people naturally want in their lives. So just give a quick update, International Friend Connection, what's going on for next week, the week of 420. Big update. Oh, my God, itchy nose there. Let me get a drink or two. So big update this week. I made a buddy with my deal with my friend Jack Thomas, owner of the Happy Spa, a wellness company, and they are going to sponsor a group in New York City and New Jersey, and we got a pretty swanky venue tomorrow night, Tuesday. That's the 15th. They're meeting at the Producers Club, not too far from Times Square. And Happy Spot, and our buddy Jack Thomas providing all the food. It's a networking night for neurodivergent professionals. And we're also working with the Octopus Movement. I'm Chief of Global Affairs for the Octopus Movement, a nonlinear think tank based out of Amsterdam. And we're hoping to bring a lot of neurodivergent people to get professionals together. So here's what's going on the week of 420. That's next week coming up. Monday, we're going to be doing our YouTube live stream and Q&A. That's going to be the boundaries class, which is going to tell you how to manage friendships and friend groups, how to pick the people that are right for you to be around, who to keep in your life, and who not to keep in your life. Every Tuesday in West Michigan, board games with Michelle at House Rules Lounge. Wednesday, we got a few events. So online, it's going to be meet new friends from around the globe. I host that one. That's our international friend connection groups that are up to 50 chapters around the world. We usually get a good turnout for that. And then in West Michigan, it's going to be at Schuler Books with Annalise in Grand Rapids. Annalise is taking over Wednesdays for me. I'll still be there. I'll still hang out with the gang. We're getting this great gang of people who just shy people, but they just love and come and hang out and have a good time. We got stuff for people to work on. So if you're shy, come out Schuler's, join us. And Annalise is taking that over. East Michigan, Becky's going to be at Matari Coffee Shop next week. And that's always a great event. They have some great Yemeni tea there. Thursday, our great organizer, Vicky's going to be at Sweetwater's with the gang. And that's in East Michigan. And then Friday, I'll be doing another Cafe Boba. And that's here in Grand Rapids. And you can find out more at internationalfriendconnection.com. Look at International Friend Connection on Meetup to find your local group. So just a little bit about me before we get into it. So who am I? Who is David Good? So I'm creator of the Frag Magnet Framework. It's a social intelligence system for neurodivergent professionals and shy or awkward people, because no one ever explained this stuff to me growing up, because my brain's physically different. No one ever explained this stuff to me growing up. in a step-by-step process that made sense to me. I became a software developer, so I think in systems and rules and patterns. And so once I can break something down in a system, I can explain it and teach it to others. So personally, I've led over 2,100 live events in person, online, to help shy people make real life friends. I built a team of 100 volunteers who've run over 4,500 events globally, or almost 4,500 events. I spent 11 years international friend connection, up to 50 chapters around the world. Certified professional coach. I got a certificate in the acceptance commitment therapy model. I like to use that for coaching. I think it has the best tools for coaching. Recognized by President Biden, is also declared a point of light by President George W. Bush's foundation. Endorsed by Bob Berg, my buddy, author of Go Giver series, 1.2 million books sold, the greatest mentor. Also, another one of the mentors that taught me a lot, David Siegel, former CEO of Meetup. Currently writing some books and teaching classes live on YouTube every Monday. And why did I put this all together? Because, you know, I was socially anxious. I was where like 15 years ago, I was where you are now, clueless about people. I would say things and then not get along with people. And I would be like, why don't these people like me? And I was just sad and confused. And as so many people come to my group, sad and confused, I wanted to put everything in a system that they could learn. So I built this system because I used to be the most socially awkward guy in the room. I don't teach theory. This isn't theory. This is what actually works in the real world for analytical, shy, or neurodivergent people like us. Find out more. Get in touch with me at davidgood.org. I like to do professional speaking for companies and organizations. So, what's the Friend Magnet Framework? It's a structured system that combines acceptance commitment therapy. So, we give you those tools so that you can overcome all those nervous feelings, those anxious feelings, and that you can take a step towards your new future in the life that you want. And then it's step-by-step social skills training for conversations, building rapport, so the best sales techniques, and real genuine connections, because that's what we're after. We're not after connections with fake people. We're after connections with real genuine people. And then I use principles from exposure therapy to do this in the real world in safe, supportive settings. Like, you come to our groups in Michigan, come to our groups in New York or Lisbon, Portugal. They're all safe settings to practice. If you're shy, no one's going to be mean to you or make fun of you. So it's built for shy and socially anxious people, neurodivergent professionals, and analytical minds like mine who struggle with connection. So this is not therapy or replacement for therapy. We don't treat any form of mental illness. We provide you life skills that you need to push your life forward to have the life that you deserve. So we're an adjunct. So if you're already working with a therapist, working with a doctor, this could be an adjunct to all of that, because therapists and doctors, they don't teach you how to have conversations with people. They don't teach you the social skills. And when you combine it all together, I mean, you're going to succeed. You're going to succeed. And then, quick note for neurodivergent people. I was always a literal person. I did a lot of work to understand metaphors. So now I use some metaphors in the presentation. If you need clarity, feel free to jump in and ask me to clear up something, especially in the Q&A. So we'll do a class and then we'll do a Q&A. So we're on week 3. These are the mindset tools, how to attract people and opportunities to you, because we want to change how you think over the long term. And the Friend Magnet Framework consists of 5 parts. I'm throwing a 6th part that I created with my friend, Coach Seal. So first week is overcoming those anxious feelings using acceptance commitment therapy tools and exposure therapy techniques. Week 2 last week was all about conversations that connect, learn how to form those natural and authentic connections with people. This week's all those mindset tools I'm going to teach you about, how to attract people and opportunities to you, because you change the way you think and that change the way you act. And actions always come first. Feelings and thinking comes later. Then next week, I'm going to teach you all about navigating friendships, about boundaries, building and maintaining healthy relationships and friend groups. And then 5 is finding meaning and purpose. It's real life strategies, how to live a rich and meaningful life, as Dr. Russ Harris says. And so many people are lost these days. They say there's no point or no purpose to life. I used to think that too. And then my purpose discovered me. And now every day is kind of awesome, even the hard days, even when I'm in a lot of pain. So we're adding a sixth part, and that's how to meet someone in person without using a dating app. I've taught this class before, and actually, one guy said he got engaged a couple months after, and I'm like, dude, that's way too soon. That's way too soon. You can't be getting engaged to someone 2 months after meeting them. But you can if you want, but I don't generally recommend that. My relationship coach, Coach Seal, wouldn't recommend that either. But let's go on. Got a little story to start everything on. So I met a man named Kevin DeVries. And he's a buddy of mine who owns a big real estate company in Grand Rapids, also owns the biggest Facebook group in Grand Rapids, known him for a while. And so I watched Kevin's documentary. I forgot what the documentary was called. But if you look up Kevin DeVries and men's ministries, so his goal was climb all the tallest mountains in the world. Last one he had to climb was Everest. So he was halfway up Everest at the camp. And then he said he had a revelation by God or the universe. He says by God. And what he realized, he had been climbing the wrong mountain all his life. He had been trying to climb mountains in real life to prove all kind of things. And he realized, I really need to work on myself. So he said, God, I'm going to sacrifice getting to the summit of Everest, and I'm going to come back down and work on myself, and I'm going to serve people. And he said the tallest mountain to climb, the most challenging mountain to climb, wasn't Everest. It was the mountain within himself. And so now he runs a nonprofit, helps men all over the state of Michigan. Real great guy, Kevin DeVries. Look him up, watch his documentary. But I found that really inspiring, and it's an apt metaphor for mindset. Mindset makes everything happen. So going to give you a little bit of the science of brain change. So what they found was something called neuroplasticity. They used to think that your brain was set after your kid and you grew up. Your brain wouldn't change over time, but they found that every time you learn and you think, your brain's creating new neural pathways and growing. And the more you think something, the more those pathways kind of get grooved in the brain, the more those patterns get grooved in the brain. They did a study on some people who are into meditation long term, and it showed that actually their brains change through meditation, which was pretty wild when they used to think that the brain did not change. And there was another study, we'll have this in our book, all these references. So they did a learning study. It was with participants who learned to juggle. And as they learn, they scan their brains. It shows their brain grew new neural tissues and connections. And that was pretty wild. So this is just to show you that your brain is not set. How you think right now, your beliefs, your attitude toward the world, it's not set. It can change. And that was my story too. Going a little bit about my story, should have told a little bit more in the beginning, but y'all know I was a software developer. Grew up on the autism spectrum. They used to call it Asperger's, very high IQ, but you put your foot in your mouth, kind of like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Einstein, things like that. But I did not understand people at all, so I was severely bullied, hated all people. Became a software developer because then I could just sit and type at a keyboard and work with software and computers, and that made sense. People did not make sense, but life happens. Injury from a car accident, got so bad, got really ill, got real bad depression, couldn't be a software developer. And it's only kind of through grace of God I'm sitting at this computer today. Now I get 4 long injections in my neck, and that's going to come up in a couple weeks. Those are really hard to go through. Doc apologized to me the whole time, and my computer time's still limited. The time I can use a phone and a tablet's still limited. But thanks to God of the universe, now I can sit here and teach this stuff and run these groups all over the world and meet people from all over the world. So life's pretty sweet. But let's go over what's a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Your growth mindset is your most important thing. Fixed mindset kind of believes that everything is fixed. I'm just going to be this way my whole life. I've got an awful life. Nothing can ever change. When it comes to social anxiety, your brain's telling you, I'm just not a people person. Fixed mindset will avoid any challenge, avoid learning anything new. They won't read a book past high school. Sees any effort that you try as hopeless or fruitless. Ignores any coaching or feedback. And a fixed mindset, they're very jealous. They're threatened by other successes. Now, when you shift your mindset to a growth mindset, and we're going to go over the tools tonight, It's the opposite. You believe that you can learn new things, abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. And it's like your mindset shifts from oh, yeah, so we're actually going to go into everything tonight. This is probably going to be a long class. There's several breaks, but yeah, so your mind's going to shift. You see kind of that you can learn things, that you learn from mistakes, learn from criticism. And instead of being jealous of other people, you kind of find inspiration, pushes you to do better. Yeah, here's how it affects. So if you have a negative mindset, you'll actually get sick more often than someone with a more positive mindset. And we'll go into different types of that. But yeah, even reading negative news during the day, just a few minutes of negative news can make you more likely to have a bad day. The news is kind of designed to just, you know, keep you upset and keep you watching so they can sell you more commercials. It also affects immune function. You have more positive emotional states. You're less likely to develop colds when exposed to cold viruses. And yeah, if you have a more positive mindset, you're more likely to have more accountability and grow. So here's how beliefs act as filters. So it's a circle that all works together. So your beliefs from the past, based on how you grew up, it creates a lens from how you view the world. So So if you have that negative mindset like I had, that, life was just hopeless. And I mean, when I had those endless days of pain, when that neck injury got bad, I thought life was just hopeless. I used my acceptance commitment therapy tools to survive those endless days of pain. But, we all grow up. I'll go more into that, but like our parents, peers, and the media and society, um, they program us when we're a kid. Your brain gets programmed just like we program a computer. That's the best way I can put it. And so when you have certain beliefs about the world and about people, you tend to notice things that happen. Like if you have a real negative mindset, all the news you hear is negative. And you're apt to watch more negative news, and that puts you into a spiral where your mood gets worse and worse. But if you purposefully, and I should link this guy's channel. I've been watching a positive news channel. Now, I balance it. I don't ignore the negative news because I don't believe in putting your head in the sand and ignore what's going on in the world. But paying attention to some positive things that are going on in the world enhances your survivability, enhances what you can do for yourself and your family. So you got to pay attention to some positive stuff to balance that out. And then based upon how you see the world, these are going to reinforce or weaken your beliefs. And then you behave based upon an alignment with your beliefs. So if we do active work to change how your mind works, you can have a totally different life. Yeah, this was my personal transformation. 2011 was rock bottom. I was 70 pounds heavier, believe it or not. And actually, I gained a little bit of that weight back, but that's a long story. But I was 70 pounds heavier, isolated behind my computer, playing video games 60 hours a day. It's kind of hopeless. And depression was real bad, had some deaths in the family, really affected me. And finally, after hitting rock bottom, I got angry at that rock bottom. Like, I don't want to live like this. So I got professional help, found a therapist that did acceptance and commitment therapy. And I learned to take tiny actions toward a better future. And my beliefs did not shift at first. It was taking tiny actions toward that better future, getting around kind people, and eventually forming my own communities that attracted kind people. And I'm like, people aren't all bad. I'd just been around jerks all my life. And that was my problem. I'd been around jerks all my life. And once I got around kind people, um, and, my mind, so it was actions came first. It was getting around kinder people, making a place for kinder people to gather. And then my views on people shifted and the way I thought about people shifted. And I never could believe I did that. And it wasn't overnight. It's very tiny steps. We'll go over that in a minute. But yeah, I lost 70 pounds. I went from like 210 pounds down to like 137. That was maybe a bit too low for me, but I never thought I could do that. And it's just all those tiny steps that added up. I found new things I could do. I found I was pretty dang good at leadership. I never thought I could do that. and I thought I could learn. I thought I would just be a computer programmer. That's all my brain was capable of. But we're all capable of more than we think. My buddy Mike Small in real estate, emailed me one day after knowing me, and he said, a lot of your limitations are in your head. It's how you think. So I looked in that more. And I started challenging those beliefs by taking action. I didn't really fight my thoughts because, in ACT, acceptance commitment therapy, we don't teach to fight the thoughts. We teach to accept them, to allow them to flow through us. Give us some space. Watch that week one class. It's week one or week two with the ACT tools. I'm going to redo that. These classes are going to repeat every 6 weeks. Um, but go back and watch that one for the tools. Yeah. So the right mindset, if you're a negative mindset, all you'll see is obstacles in place in your future. And, I didn't think I could learn these social skills. I thought you were born with them. I thought, you're either born capable to have a lot of friends or you just be alone all your life. And I see so many people like myself that are just hopeless. And some people feel bad that they have to learn it as a skill. But, people like us, our brains are physically different. So we can do things other people can't. A lot of us, we can see connections between different things that other people can't. But then we have to learn social skills, just like we learn computer programming. Think of anything hard you learn. Maybe if y'all could put something difficult you learned in chat, and I guarantee if you can learn that, you can learn all this social stuff. You can shift your mind and have step into a brand new future that you deserve. I want to go over Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. I gave that to a buddy who went in hospital, and it gave him a lot of hope. So Viktor Frankl, a famous psychiatrist or psychologist, and he was stuck in a concentration camp, and he observed that, it wasn't the strongest people that survived. It was the people who found a little bit of meaning and purpose every day, maybe sharing their food, doing something to make one of the other victims in the concentration camp a little bit of their day better. It helped them survive more, and it was how they thought was what helped survive. Like 2016, after that injury got so bad, I mean, I was having migraine headaches every day. I was in bed almost majority days of the week, and I don't know how I got through that. I'm fortunate that I had my mom to persuade me to fight. I go to the ER once a month. They try to break those migraines up and that neck pain up, and maybe break up for a couple of days and start right back up. And then I'd wait another month and maybe I get a day free with a little bit less pain here and there. But it was just horrible pain every day. And it was all these tools. Some of them I'm going to teach you today, the acceptance and commitment therapy tools from before, and a lot of the tools I'm going to teach you today. That's what helped me to survive. So, yeah, take a little break for a minute. We haven't been going that long, so I don't know if I need to take a 5 minute break, but let's just take a couple minute break here. Um, any aha moments so far? Anything resonate with you? Um, of y'all experience a moment where changing your perspective made a significant difference in your life? And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe mindset affects your relationships? Turn my camera microphone off just for a second there, and we'll take a 2 minute break. I want to give those people with ADHD like me a little bit time to catch up and take a breather there so you don't get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed by a lot of stuff too. So, Alexa, cancel timer. Yeah, appreciate the great feedback so far. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Ronan. Kind of the attitude you go into a relationship with can kind of make or break the relationship. Move on a little bit. Um, yeah, so here's how a negative mindset kind of affects you, your behavior. Um, so you're going to avoid meeting new people like I did. I thought all people were horrible. So I avoided meeting anyone new. And even to the point to where I would get around new people, I would still shake. And that still comes back when like I go to New York and I'm around a new group of people. Um, and yeah, it's just a muscle you got to keep working out. Avoid new social opportunities. Kind of resignation in life that life's always going to be the way it is. Nothing can change. Yeah, I know many people like that, even some friends, and unfortunately, nothing I can do for them. People who constantly complain, that holds them back in life. A lot of people who are resentful and jealous of others. We mentioned that before. Kind of not being willing to try anything new, especially being super afraid to fail. That was me. That was me a long time ago. And I'll tell you something pretty quick, which totally will flip that. And this will make staying for the whole lecture worth it, or listen to the whole lecture worth it. And if y'all got to go, if you want to come back, this will be on our live section on our YouTube. So first of all, is using those mindfulness skills that I taught you a couple weeks ago, and then try to recognize these thoughts in yourself. And we want to, don't judge yourself for having these thoughts because they're common. I told you how our brains are all negative, and don't judge yourself. Let's just say, hey, these thoughts are maybe not helpful for us in achieving the future that we want to achieve. So I told you a little bit before, consuming negative media, endlessly scrolling on TikTok and Facebook. These social media algorithms, the news programs, they want to show you stuff to keep you watching so that they can sell more commercials. They're all just advertising machines. And the people that you hang around with, they're the biggest effect on you. If everybody you hang around with is complaining all the time, if they got negative attitudes, they're not doing anything in life, they're kind of hopeless in life, that's going to affect you too. And I mean, this was something I had to realize too. And sometimes it's so hard to let go of people. And it's sad too. But and when you're a kid, everything gets programmed into you, just like programming a computer. And how our parents treat us, the kind of things our parents say to us, and what they believe affects us. Kind of we're raised up in religion, that affects us too. Messages in school and society, especially if you're growing up on the autism spectrum or you have ADHD. Kids are pretty mean, man. And those mean kids, last week I told you how I lost my smile for several decades, and then how I took it back for myself. But yeah, all the kids are programming things into you. We have a lot of Einsteins. We have a lot of like Zuckerbergs and Bezos and all those geniuses are out there, but they've just been bullied so much that they've given up. And our nation, our world is missing out on all the achievements those brilliant brains could do to push humanity forward. And like I said, everybody's got a role to play in the future of humanity. And I want to give everybody the tools so that they can find their role that they have to play in the future and help invent a great future for us all. So this is one of the most important things I ever learned. Um, and one of the things I realized, like in life and business is mostly just a series of mistakes with the occasional win that makes it worth living or worth doing. The people that have had the most success, they failed the most. I remember, I talk about, I like watching Alex Hormozy, real brilliant guy, real brilliant businessman. I mean, he lost 9 businesses before his 10th one succeeded. Got a buddy of mine, we're still friends. We've been friends for decades. We had a little business together. That one didn't work out in the mid 2000s, but he had a factory burned down on his wedding day. And, but he didn't give up. And now they got a huge freaking factory. And I mean, their business is just so great now, all because they pivoted and they did not give up. Um, so our mistakes are our greatest teachers, and it's that those small efforts that go together. So this is the no fail formula, zero fail formula. I'm going to tell you how I learned this. I learned it from a man named Dale, and Dale was leadership at Intel and IBM. Good buddy of mine, another great meetup organizer, was one of my volunteers for a couple years. So I was beating myself up. We had one member do something nasty to another member, and I blame myself. It was like failure of leadership because I was a people pleaser, and I kind of let people get away with a lot of stuff. And if I was a stricter leader, it might not have happened. So Gail sat me aside and he said, "Hey, I see you're really beating yourself up. I would tell you a little story that I learned when I was in management and leadership. So they taught us that there are three outcomes: a win, a lose, or a learn. So when you make a mistake, everybody knows what a win is. You know, things go the way you want. You reach your goal, you get the desired outcome, you feel awesome. Everybody knows what it's like to lose. You feel like a loser, like you messed up. Feel like it's the end of the world. But there's something else called the learn. And this goes along with something I learned from my friends, Dennis and Tanya in military leadership. So what the learn is so after we have a failure, we do something called an after action report. And that's just thinking about everything that went on. I'll teach you how to do that in a minute. But we see what we can learn from the situation. So it's like playing a video game. When we see what we can learn from the situation, we're gaining experience points to level ourselves up. So we go out, we go to a group, we don't make any friends at first. Well, that's okay because we got to practice our social skills. That's still a win. That's turning that lose into a win. Or you're talking to someone at a social group and maybe a cute girl, and then you could talk to her for a while, and then she's not interested in you. That hurts. You feel like a loser. But at least it's practice for the next one. You roll all the lessons forward, and you take those small steps, and you're going to end up winning. It's the people who give up and who don't pivot. The key is to learn and to pivot. So I tell you about an after action report. This was what my friend Tanya told me about, and my friend Dennis, who's in the Air Force leadership. Um, so essentially, it boils down to when you make a mistake, identify what happened. Okay, here's what happened. Here's what other people did. Here's what I did. Here's what went well. Here's what didn't go as planned. Here's what I could control and what I can't control. And then you take all of that and you say, what is the lesson to be learned here? And eventually, when you do this, you can do it quickly in your head after you get home from an event. I teach this all in relative to going to social events, overcoming that social anxiety, making new friends, because it's just all practice, and you level up your skills. But yeah, that's basically the no fail formula is if you learn from every encounter, because everybody has something to teach you. Even people that treat me bad, I mean, at minimum, I'm learning how not to treat people because I know how they make me feel. And I'm like, oh, I got to watch out to make sure I don't do those things. Actually, it's kind of funny. After last week's class, there's one dude, very smart guy. I could tell he's extremely intelligent. He's not coming back because he didn't like some of the conversational pitfalls. And it was pitfalls that I fell into too. You go out with someone you like and you talk about nothing but yourself or things that you like, and then they never go out with you again. When the key is you want to connect with people and talk about things they like and kind of determine if y'all are going to be a good fit to be friends or even go into a relationship in the future. So yeah, I want to use some video game metaphors. So every time you practice these social skills or every time you do something, you're gaining experience points. You're leveling yourself up like you're leveling a character up. And, mistakes are only part of it. I mean, some hard levels in a video game or some hard quests in a video game, you may have had to do those over and over. Well, it's the same with everything else. Same with everything else in life. And it's consistency. I'll tell you what most people come to do with my meetup groups, especially guys, is they will come one event And then I can see that they don't connect with anyone because they're real scared. And I was scared too when I went to my first meetup event, a board game group. I shook the whole time, didn't say a dang thing to everybody, and then played a game for an hour and went home because that anxiety was so bad. But I came back the next time and I could stay for more than an hour next time. And then time after that, I could stay for more than an hour. Pretty soon I could talk to some people there more than just the organizer. And it's like you can't just go to one event and give up. In a social group, you have to be a regular for several months almost before people get used to it because they're a lot of people are nervous. They're nervous about you, wondering what you're going to say or do to them. You're wondering what they're going to say or do to you. And our minds are kind of playing tricks on us, like I went over in the first class. But yeah, you do something 100 times, you're going to start to get better. And then once you do something 1,000 times, you're going to start feeling like, oh, this is a lot easier, and it's going to start becoming part of you. There's a word called grok from a Heinlein book, Stranger in a Strange Land. It was a Martian word that meant that you learn something so well that it becomes part of you. And I'll tell you, I went out with a new friend last Friday, and 10 years ago, going out with someone like this, I would be totally tongue tied. I couldn't say a word, or I'd just start info dumping all about myself. But I was able to just sit back and have a relaxed conversation. And because I used another mindset tool, I'll teach you in a minute. And everything turned out great. Yeah. So this is what that tool is. I'm going to teach you detachment, tell you where I learned it from. So my friend, the author Bob Berg, he talks about a little bit in his books. It's like he goes into sales terms. Like when you go for to sell something, when you're a salesman, and you take a sales call or talk to someone, you can't be attached to getting a certain outcome because if you're desperate, the person's not going to buy. Well, this works in the real world too. I learned again about detachment from a Hindu priest. There was a philosophy discussion group taught us about Hindu philosophy, and in Hinduism, detachment was not being attached to how something turns out. It's like we do our best, we try our best, but whether something succeeds or fails, whether that person's our friend or not, doesn't really matter in the long run because there's plenty of people out there. There's plenty of sales calls we can take, and we shift into that abundance mindset, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it's not being desperate. It's not being attached to a certain outcome. Like this person has to be my friend. If you go in with that attitude, you're going to scare people away. And detachment is not indifference or not caring. I remember a friend said, "Well, explain detachment to you because I want to care about people." It's not saying whatever. I don't care what happens. It's not attaching our happiness to a specific outcome that we can't control. Because when we interact with people, not everybody's going to be a good fit for us. I always tell I've never been a sports fan. So I'm never going to be best friends with a guy who's like upset, is like a sports nerd obsessed with sports. I'm friends with plenty of people who love sports, but we're probably not going to be the closest friends, and that's okay. And I'm not going to be everybody's closest friend, and I had to let go of that. And if you have to be, if you have to go in with that, everybody has to be my friend, or I have to be everybody's friend, or everybody has to like me. You're just setting yourself up for misery. So that's where detachment comes into play. And like I said, neediness repels people. When someone's desperate for your approval or desperate to be your friend or your boyfriend or girlfriend, I mean, you're less attracted to that person. And being detached gives other people the freedom to choose. It helps you develop the inner security where you're okay with yourself. And like whether or not these people like me or not doesn't matter because I know who I am. And when we get into the talk on life meaning and purpose and finding your purpose, that's going to give you a ton of security because once I found my purpose, I mean, I walk around different. My head's higher. My confidence is much higher. Um, Let's go on a couple of practical things that you can do to practice detachment because this is so powerful. That zero fail formula that I taught you, that's one that will detach you from making mistakes. I mean, once Dale taught me that, it was like about 6 months later, I really integrated into myself. And so I'm willing to try a lot more and I'm having a lot more successes and I'm willing to try a lot more different things that's making my life richer. Um, Kind of when you go into a social situation, here's a bigger picture practice. Like, okay, how is this thing I'm doing today? How is it going to affect me? Will it matter in 5 years? Will it matter in 10 years? In a month? Um, and kind of the answer is like, if I go here, if I mess up once, doesn't really matter. I told you that story about Michael Jordan in the past, where he messed up so much at the beginning of his career. He felt like a loser, but then, once he got good, everybody forgot all the times he messed up. It's the same way in a social group. If you're awkward in a social group, I mean, a year later, your social skills are going to go from here way up to here, and people aren't even going to remember how awful you are. Unless they're total jerks, and then you don't want to be around those people anyway. But yeah, multiple possibilities approach. Instead of fixating on one desired outcome, brainstorm come up. Here's all kind of different things that could outcome. Like if you go to an event, so you could make a friend, or at the minimum, you're going to practice your social skills, or you're going to learn something interesting about someone. And kind of the pre-acceptance technique. Before any social outcome or before you interact with people, just kind of tell yourself, if this goes well, great. If not, it's a learning experience. And focus on what you can control and what you can't control. Focus on being, if you focus on being present with someone and using the techniques I taught you last week on how to ask positive, feel good questions and pay attention to people, do the active listening, that's going to get you out of your head, focusing on the other person. You're going to connect with the other person more. So you're going to actually be more successful than being stuck in your head worrying all the time. So yeah, we can take another minute break. We're kind of doing a little bit better tonight on time than I thought. So you guys have any big aha moments so far, or kind of when we talked about detachment, like the zero fail formula or any of those other exercises, did they resonate you? I'm gonna take a 2 minute break here a minute. Okay, gonna move on a little bit. Appreciate some of the comments in the chat there. So what I'm going to teach you is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. This is the key tool. And actually, I think when I reteach this, I'm going to move it earlier in the presentation. Because every psychologist I know, all my friends, every my therapists I've seen, psychologists I've seen, they all say the same thing, that gratitude is the number one skill that can change your brain and change how you think, because it's totally unnatural to be grateful for stuff, and we have to intentionally try. Um, and I'll tell you how my buddy Yermy told me how to do it. Yermy's a great business strategist, Yermy Kirkus. Talk about him in a minute. But so when you practice gratitude is actively rewiring your brain, you shift into a more thankful mindset. And long term, it's going to attract, this is the thing that's going to attract people to you. It's going to make people want to do business with you, to give you more opportunities. Um, Especially when you learn how to show subtle gratitude to others or even overt gratitude to others. It can even improve sleep. And when you start your day with gratitude, it can really improve your day and help you get more work done. Um, it can help produce those good neurotransmitters. I mean, this was since I started gratitude practice, I'm almost able to live in gratitude, which that's taken years to do. So on a day when I'm stuck in bed with a migraine, that's usually at least one day a week. I'll get pretty bad pain a few days a week still. But, I still can say I'm in pain today, but look what I have in life. I've got friends that support me. I got people I can call. Do an event tomorrow. We got a dozen friendly, happy people coming. We just had our buddy Jack Thomas step up. Going to put some groups in New York and Jersey. Uh, I'm doing things in life that I never thought I would do back in 2016 when my computer software development career got taken away from me, and I'm meeting people that I never thought I could meet. I remember the first time I went to New York City, never thought I could do that, but yeah, that gratitude, and now we're going to talk about how to do it. Practical gratitude implementation. So, what you want to do this in the morning or at night. Actually, if you do one in the morning, one at night. Um, my buddy Yermi Kirkus, he teaches a class in gratitude and happiness. He has a whole company based around it, as well as he's a great business strategist. I met him through my friend Bob Berg and a lot of the other go givers. We'll talk more about Bob in a bit. But yeah, think of one thing in the past 24 hours that made you feel good. Could be something simple. For me, when I'm in a lot of pain or that depression's hitting bad, I'm between series of treatments with TMS, and sometimes that depression will hit bad. I think it's something small, like, and usually for me, I'm a sucker for food. Everywhere I travel, I got to find the best dessert. So, even if I've had a little piece of candy, that's something pleasurable that I can be grateful for. When I can't think of the very big things, when my mind's down in the muck and the mire. So it doesn't have to be big. You start being grateful for small things, and eventually be grateful for bigger things. And then you practice every day. A year later, I can guarantee your life's going to be totally different. I don't like to write things down, so put it in a notes app in your phone, write it down in paper. There's studies that show that writing down in paper kind of is more effective on your brain, helps your brain to remember more than just typing it on a computer. And you do this more and more items per day. You do maybe 3 days or a week with one item per day that you're grateful for. And then you do 2 items per day and then 3 items per day. Increase it slowly, but this is the base skill that you want to work on. I taught you the zero fail formula. That's a great mindset shift. And now gratitude. If you do nothing tonight, but start doing gratitude before you go to bed tonight, and then maybe in the morning, or just one. Don't go too quick. Just do once a day. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. And then something specific. Focus on something specific that happened. A little cookie or candy, or somebody sent you a nice email. Um, and they say attach it to an existing habit. So maybe that's a good idea while you're brushing your teeth in the morning, think of something you're grateful for. That helps me because I hate the taste of toothpaste. I think that's maybe an autistic thing, but yeah, I hate that taste of toothpaste. So try to think of other things I'm grateful for. Usually, if I had a good breakfast, that'll be it. Now, here's something powerful in communication skills: extending gratitude to others, giving someone a genuine compliment. A lot of people like to give compliments and physical features, like, oh, that's a nice shirt, or you look awesome today, or you really fit, you work out. That can be kind of dangerous territory, especially if you're in professional environments. But what really impresses people is a compliment based on observation. So, compliment has to be specific, sincere, and about something that person did or a skill they're developing. Yeah, like I said, you look nice. I'll tell you what someone really appreciated. I had never gone to Meyer Gardens, and so this was a friend's special spot. And she was like, "I'll meet you at Meyer Garden. I'm going to show you around." We went to the Japanese garden, and the show. So one thing she could do was pick out all these details that I would normally miss. So towards the middle of our time together, I said, "Wow." You are amazing. I'm seeing all kind of things that I would normally miss that I wouldn't see otherwise. And she thought that was one of the best compliments she ever got. Celebrating other people's successes that'll go along with next week when we talk about how jealousy can interfere with friendships and relationships. But best thing you can do for you and your friends' relationships is whenever they have any kind of success, they get a new car, they lose 10 pounds, they have a new baby, they get a new relationship, get a new job, whatever. If you're the first person to congratulate them and celebrate with them, because most people will get jealous and like catty and want to bring other people down. But if you're the person that celebrates with everybody, I mean, man, you'll make a million friends. And giving a little handwritten card or note, that was one of the things you guys talked about in the Go Giver meetings there. There's actually a service send out cards that will write cards of your handwriting. But yeah, I've received a handwritten note the other week of someone I was on a panel with, and that helped me establish a relationship with them. And so this stuff will kind of go along with what I learned in the Go Giver. Well, this 2 books, I learned the power of giving first and the power of giving through the Go Giver series of books. That changed my whole perspective on people. And then there was another book called Give and Take by Adam Grant. He taught me about something called game theory, and I don't really know all about game theory, so I'll leave that to the academics. But there was something in game theory called generous tit for tat, and it was a strategy and how to find people to work with. And this can apply to friendship too. So you provide a good experience to a friend first, or you do a favor for someone first, a small favor, and then wait to see if they reciprocate. And if people reciprocate, then you have someone that you can work with, like in a business or a career situation, or that you have someone you can be a good friend with. And that's just called generous tip for chat strategy. When they were doing all these experiments, they found the people who gave first and then waited for other people to reciprocate. They had more success than people who just waited for other people to do something for them first and then they reciprocated. Or if they did something at the same time, the givers always achieve more. But read Give and Take by Adam Grant. That's a life-changing book. He talks about givers tend to be on top, but they got to be very careful. They got to use that generous tip for tat strategy so you don't get taken advantage of. Now, here's some small ways to provide value for others. Genuine attention. Put your phone away when you're talking with someone. Do that active listening that I taught you before. If you can't make eye contact, nothing wrong with saying when you meet someone, say, by the way, I communicate a little bit differently. Eye contact very hard for me, but please know that I am listening to you, and then pay attention how you can, and maybe use some paraphrasing. Like I taught you last week. That's a trick I use to deal with my ADHD when talking with people. Help me remember what they're talking about, and they appreciate that too. Just showing, if showing genuine appreciation to other people. Bob Burgwise said something like those who appreciate people tend to appreciate financially. And just supporting, encouraging other people in their goals. You know, always support your friends and their goals, and one of them may make it big someday, and then they'll reach a hand back and help lift you up. So that's my attitude instead of getting jealous of people. And connecting with one person with another person, that's how you build a big network of friends or business associates. Always on the lookout. I try to get to know every new person that comes to my groups, so I can connect them with someone. I'll give you a story of my buddy Logan. He's a guy in the spectrum, comes to my groups, and he don't drive, but he loves 2 things: heavy metal and horror movies. And he was real sad when he came into West Michigan Geeks Friday one weekend at Cafe Boba. So Logan was sad. He was real sad. He's like, I got tickets for Iron Maiden. I got no one to drive me. And so I say to Logan, oh, you hang on, Logan. I got a buddy for you. So I've known a buddy named Rick. Yeah, Rick, since he used to beat me up in the bus during middle school. I just kidding, just kidding. Rick's a great dude. Rick loves 2 things: horror movies and heavy metal. And Rick has a car. Rick drives. So I'm like, I'm like, hey, dude, you want to go to Iron Maiden for free? You give my buddy Logan a call. And I get a call from Rick a couple days later. He's like, oh, man, I'm so happy. We're going to see Iron Maiden. They sent me photos. They had the greatest time. But you never know who you can connect and how that will make your life better. Um, yeah. So basically, just give freely to people, create connections, expand that circle, and good things come back to you. But use that generous tit for tat filtering formula. I want to talk about something that I used to be bad at. I was a very judgmental person growing up. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. You know, it was kind of cool to judge others. I was severely bullied. So I thought, you bully others. I was kind of a horrible person. I'll tell you something I did. I was a real jerk. Um, I hated people. I was mad at people. So other people that give science presentations that always kind of tear their presentations apart. That was I look back. I was ashamed of myself for so many years, and I finally let go of all that shame. I realized how horrible I was, but I was just angry kid for how other people treated me, and then I took it on the people that had nothing to do with it. And looking back, that was a silly thing to do. But then I give myself some grace because I was just a kid. And now I know better. Some people never learn, but you know, judgmental mindset will cost you a lot in life. A lot of people judge a lot of people. Other things that they do are cringe, or their hobbies are stupid, or the choices are wrong, or they're different from me. They got different culture. The things they do in their country are wrong, and the things we do in our country are right. Um, and so you walk in, and that follows you around. And so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're judging everybody, but it's a double-edged sword because when you judge other people harshly, I found the most racist people, I found real hateful people, inside they hate themselves the most. That's the one secret that they never tell you. And when I was judging people harshly, I hated myself so much. I remember in 2019, I do a little bit of meditation. I could never do it with ADHD, but the same thoughts came into my mind that I had to forgive myself, and that was one of the last steps. And I'll go over that in a minute. But I purposely worked to let go of a lot of judgment. Um, and you need a certain amount of judgment in your life to protect yourself from a lot of bad stuff in life. But I can guarantee we got too much, and that judgment's just separating ourselves from people. And a lot of it forms when we've been hurt so bad. Yeah, I know how bad people can hurt you. I mean, I had girls kind of make fun of me or pretend to like me, and then say they're just fooling and stuff like that. When you kid, I mean, that really hurts, man. And I know girls where guys did that to them, and that really hurts. But we can let all of our past go, and we can have a brand new future. I remember when I worked with Ben. I told you his story before, but I said, Ben, just because you did things in the past that you weren't proud of, just because your life was one way in the past, does not mean that you can't use these tools to have a brand new future. And I mean, Ben went from not leaving the house to going to Malaysia and meeting all kind of people, and even overcoming anxiety where he could read a speech in front of people. But yeah, that judgment, and our brains are naturally judgmental. It's just our brains trying to protect us. So you can use that thanking the mind activity, like thanks mind, for I know you're trying to protect me for not wanting me to interact with these people because of what I had before. But this really isn't serving me. I'm grown up now, and we're not kids anymore. So here's how I removed a lot of judgment from my mind. And once I did this up, it helped me to judge myself less, and it helped me to connect with people so much easier and make the friends that I have now and run the organization that I have now. It's you got to be aware of it first. So use some of those mindfulness tools like leaves on a stream, or some of the other tools, real world mindfulness tools, just taking a deep breath, paying attention to what you're thinking and feeling. And when you have a judgment thought, you just kind of label it. There's judgment. Um, and realize that's just an opinion. Use that diffusion techniques. I having the thought that, oh, this person is silly because of their hobby. Maybe they like Legos. Yeah. So this is a lot of it. I teach a lot of acceptance commitment therapy stuff. I appreciate you recognizing that. Got a certificate in it from Dr. Russ Harris from his class, and a great coaching model. And I've did it as a patient for 15 years too. Totally changed my life. But we intercept. So we're going to use our mindfulness skills. We feel that judgment thought and feeling coming up. We're going to intercept that thought. Say, thanks, mind. Realize you're trying to protect me. I'm going to take a deep breath. We're going to say, oh, here's judgment. And I having the thought that, oh, maybe that this person's silly because they collect Legos. Um, but instead of asking it's true, like, oh, is this helpful or not? Are these thoughts going to help me make more friends? Because maybe that dude that collects Legos that you thought was silly, maybe he's a real good dude that someday you'll have a tragedy in life and then he will come over to your house and sit by you on that couch, like what happened to me when my mom died. And if I had been the old David Good judging everybody, I would have been all alone after my mom died. But because I was the new David Good, people came and visited me for 6 weeks, and I told that about that when I gave a speech for a meetup at the 20th anniversary party. So it's just intercepting those judgmental thoughts, take a deep breath, saying thanks for this judgmental thought, realize you're just trying to protect me, but I'm an adult now, and this thought, I'm having this judgmental thought, and it's not very helpful for getting me where I want to go in life. So let's just kind of set that aside and let's take the smallest action. Maybe go say hi to that person that we thought was silly or cringe. Because and then in turn, as we're judging other people less, guess what? Our self-judgment is going to start going away. All those things, like I said, the worst things at all. I hated myself. I mean, I told 2019, and even I told people I hated myself. And, I knew I had to forgive myself and let that hatred of myself go. And the first step was judging other people less. And then once I let that go, it was such a big weight lifted off my shoulders. And my smile came back too. Yeah, I want to take a little break now because I've been going for another while. So we'll take a 2-minute break. Here's some questions to think about. So, have y'all ever noticed your inner critic when we were talking about judgment? It probably says a lot of horrible things to you. Mine called me a loser. I mean, when I was a lot bigger dude, I'm like, dude, you're a freaking fat dude, and no one's gonna like you. But it didn't matter whether I was fat or not. It's my attitude that people didn't like. And what's one area of your life that you could maybe apply a little less judgment toward yourself? Oh, I don't think we've gone through the other yet. So we'll just take a 1-minute break. Put some comments in chat if you want to, if you feel free to, otherwise not necessary. So yeah, just grateful for everybody coming tonight. And if y'all have been here for an hour, oh, thanks so much, Ronan. Thanks so much for that compliment. I hope now you'll have some awesome tools that you can practice, and you're more hopeful for the future. Yeah, it means a lot that you said that. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna move on a little bit. So, well, when I did the first class, I talk about some of the acceptance commitment therapy tools, and we brought some of them in tonight. Um, thoughts and feelings are kind of things that just happen to us. We can't control them. But what we can do is control our responses to thoughts and feelings. And I just taught you that algorithm when we talked about judgment, how to intercept thoughts and feelings and choose a different thing. So especially good when working with anger, though, when you got ADHD, you tend to be a bit impulsive like me, or you have strong emotions if you're on the spectrum like me. And so you got to learn to manage that anger when somebody ticks you off. So I tried, like I said, take a deep breath, realize anger coming up, and then say, hey, in this moment, I can choose pause and walk away, or I can do something that's going to negatively affect my life. So let's walk away, take a break, and then do something that'll push our life forward. Yeah, I want to talk about acceptance and self compassion. These are very things, um, in being a man in America, like word compassion kind of might make you uncomfortable, but I've learned to be okay with it. And so self compassion means kind of being kind to yourself instead of harsh, instead of having a drill sergeant in your mind telling you you're a loser and that you can't do things right. Um, Kind of just say, hey, going through a hard time right now, change your self talk, saying that instead of beating ourselves up over the head of our bricks and making ourselves pull back, let's say, hey, what if we just try something real little? So instead of saying, oh, Dave Good, you're a loser because you can't do this stuff, you can't go and talk to these people that you want. Hey, it's okay. We're real nervous right now. Maybe being here is enough for now. And the next time we come back, we'll talk to some people. And then, or maybe we will just go say hi and say, hey, I'm really nervous tonight. I just want to say hi to some people. And that's what I can do for tonight. But, glad to be here. And that's something you can say to someone. That would be a way, instead of sitting beating yourself up. That would be a tiny little step you can just go for. There's a researcher, Dr. Kristen Neff, wrote a lot of books on self-compassion. And her research actually shows that it's more motivating than beating yourself up. Look up her stuff. She did an interesting talk. There's an interesting video, I think, during a TED talk, talked about self-compassion in men. Um, and had an interesting talk. It was like a guy came up to her at a book signing and asked her if she did any research on men. And she said no. And he was like, oh, that's kind of convenient. And he's like, everybody thinks it's us men that gets all the heck from like coaches and other men, but really it was like our wives and our daughters are terrified that if we show any sort of weakness or any sort of vulnerability, that they would almost rather that we go away than show some vulnerability because it's so terrifying from them. Um, but both men and women struggle with a lot of shame. Actually, yeah, that was her talk on shame, and I'll talk more into that in a minute. But being a bit kind to yourself will allow you to grow further than beating yourself up like a drill sergeant. And you're the project, so your genetics, upbringing, past experiences, and the social environment you've been exposed to. I taught you how you were programmed like a computer of a kid, and given all the factors, you're who you are. So kind of, let yourself off the hook from the past for not your life not achieving and turning out like it did, and instead take tiny steps toward the future that you deserve. And again, don't think of a lot of things as good or bad. Um, think of it. We'll go into values in a couple classes in the future, but just kind of say, hey, this is who I am and this is okay, and let's take tiny steps toward a future that we want. Yeah, so when it comes to here, so values are kind of things that guide your overall actions. We'll go more into that, but right now everybody's here because they want that value of human connection, to connecting with other people. So when you make decisions, when you're beating yourself up, saying, okay, is this helpful or unhelpful toward me getting the life that I want? And if it's unhelpful, use those diffusion techniques to give yourself a little space and take a step forward. And then when you face a setback, so beating yourself up, like, how would you talk to your friend? I remember a therapist asked me that. She's like, would you say any things to yourself, to your friends, that you say to yourself? And it almost brought a little tear to my eye, because I'm like, I think of all the wonderful people I know, and I'm like if I would be ashamed, I would feel guilty for years if I said the kind of things to my friends that I said to myself. And a lot of self criticism activates a threat response, and it reduces creativity and flexible thinking and the types of things that you need to get your job done and need to do what you need to do. And self compassion actually motivates you more. So I want to talk a little bit about guilt and shame. Mention some things earlier. So guilt's about behavior. It's like you did something that hurt someone or didn't align with your values. And so guilt can be helpful because when we mess up, hurt someone, it's a good sign that we need to apologize, do something to make amends, or not do something in the future. Now, shame, this is like some of the clients that I've had, is it's about identity. It's like, I am bad. Guilt is I did something bad. Uh, Shame is I am bad. I am flawed. There's no hope for me. And we need to let that go. That's all that self forgiveness work I had to do. Remember in 2019 when I said, I kind of hate myself. I think I'm a horrible person. But then people are like, oh, Dave, good. You've run all these groups for years to help people. You can't be that bad. And, I had to let myself off the hook from my past because I had a lot of shame because injury in the car accident took away everything that I had built up, my business, my career, and I felt like a loser. And I had to let go all that shame all those years. And it was a lot of hard work. But if you can do the work to let go of that shame, let go of a lot of that self-criticism, it's some of the most valuable work. And shame says to you, I've always been this way and I'm always going to be that way. And it prevents you from growing. And here's what shame can lead to. So if you don't deal with your shame, um, it can lead to addiction. It can lead to depression. I think a lot of my depression was due to a lot of shame. It can lead to anxiety, eating disorders, even not wanting to be around anymore. And so shame is just kind of totally a useless emotion. It's not helpful at all. Like I said, guilt can be helpful, but not shame. And constructive role of guilt, like, you mess up, it inspires you to do better in the future. Um, and to make amends for people that you hurt, especially people close to you, and committing to kind of learning new stuff. So yeah, here's something that can help you with shame. It's called a loving kindness meditation. And again, like being a man in America, that word loving and things like that makes you a little uncomfortable. But I've learned to be okay with that. Now, loving kindness meditation goes back centuries upon centuries, kind of a Buddhist concept. But modern neuroscience shows that it works. Kind of helps with shame scientifically. It activates like a caregiving system of your brain, um, kind of eliminates the threat system that powers that shame that's going off. So you practice self compassion, then you expand it to other people, and it helps dissolve that shame over time. But you got to do this a lot, especially if you have ADHD. This stuff's a little bit harder, and I can only do it a few minutes at a time. But this would be real helpful. Now you begin by just directing a kind wish at yourself. A lot of loving kindness meditations on YouTube. I may record one someday if we get a lot of demand for these things. But I got books to write and stuff first. Basic practice is you kind of direct some good thoughts toward yourself. You say, may I be safe? May I be healthy? May I be happy? May I live with ease? That's kind of the mantra to repeat over and over a few times. And then extend it to someone, do that for someone you like, and then do someone that you don't feel anything about, like maybe a checkout person you encountered during the day. And then eventually here's the trick. Here's the trick. Especially extend it to someone that you don't like or that has done you wrong, and that will take a while to do. Um, I let go a lot of anger at family members. Don't want to get into that too much, but it took me years to let go of that anger and do that forgiveness work. And forgiveness is not saying that what someone did was okay. It's just saying that, so holding in anger and holding a grudge, was it Gandhi? I can't quote that for sure, but was it he that said that holding a grudge, holding on to all that anger is like drinking a cup of poison and expecting it to kill the person you're angry at. And holding on to the anger is just not good for you. So these kind of meditations will help you let go of all that anger, because when you're holding on to the anger, it does nothing for the person that you're angry at. They're going on, they're living an awesome life, and you're suffering them. You're suffering a lot. You're punishing yourself for something they did to you. So use this to let all that anger go. I mean, I was angry at people for a long time, maybe decades, of how I was treated as a kid. And it took letting go using stuff like this, and it took taking action, because like acceptance therapy said, the only way to change your life is taking action. You can listen to all these classes you want. You can get all the therapy you want, but only taking action is what changes our lives. And I'm hoping you're getting some guidance on what kind of actions to take tonight. Um, we offer a private community, and I think I'll set up some group coaching too if people are interested in going through this kind of stuff with me. And I can guide you along the way because, having that accountability is super helpful. But yeah, so I added this slide today. Um, Things to forgive yourself for and let go of. And this took me years and years of work to do. And it's okay. None of this stuff happens quick. I want to say something quick, especially for the younger people. If you have watched this class for an over an hour, I just want to congratulate you on a job well done because it's very hard for me to watch a class for an hour. So you're doing awesome tonight. Had a lot of people complain that our videos are too long. So in the future, once I get done teaching the main curriculum, we're going to cut a lot of these up. We're going to do shorter videos in the future so we can give some of these techniques without me rambling on and on. Notice we probably had a younger guy tonight talking about me just yakking on and on. Make me laugh a bit, make me laugh a bit. But that's valid. Sometimes you want to just get to the meat of things. But here's what I learned to forgive myself about and let go of, and this took many years. So A, for life turning out not the way you planned. Big fan of the book The Art of War by Sun Tzu, the great general military thinker. And no battle plan survives contact with the enemy, and no plan for your life survives the trials and tribulations of life. And just because your life didn't turn out the way that you planned, I beat myself up for years for not being successful, as successful as I thought, for not making that $1 million by the time I'm 30, for that injury in that car accident. That wasn't my fault, getting so bad that I had my business and career taken away from me. I beat myself up for the longest time. I know so many people are beating themselves up for their life not turning out the way they planned. And it's okay to let that go. Beating yourself up won't help you go into the future. What's going to help you is taking those tiny actions forward towards a new future. And if I can give you any guidance, love to help you out. So here's a big thing too. Forgive yourself, let go of any shame that you have or guilt for how you were born. Nobody gets to choose how they were born. I didn't choose to be born autistic and not know how to talk to people and have to study it like I studied computer programming and make it into a system so that I could understand it. You don't choose what country you're from. Don't be ashamed of what country you're from. You don't choose what kind of body you have, whether you're able or not able. Um, and if people made you feel bad because of any way you were born with, I'm just so sorry of that. And use these tools to let go of that judgment that others cause you that follow you around in life. Nobody should be ashamed for how they were born, for anything to do with how they were born, if they were born different from everybody else, especially. And for things that you're not your fault. I always talk about, that neck injury got so bad from that car accident. Couldn't be a software developer. That was my biggest shame. That was my biggest shame, and kind of how I treated people when I was younger, when I was young and angry. I was young and angry at everybody until I started meeting awesome people. So forgive yourself for things that are not your fault. You don't choose for these things to happen to you. And hey, if it helps, I forgive you. You know, you don't need to hold on to that guilt anymore. And actually, there's some big religions like Christianity's the whole religion is based around forgiveness. That, you know, I don't want to get into religion here, but the thing is Jesus died for your sins so that you can let go of your past and have a new future. And that's what forgiveness does. Let go of your past. And just because your past was one way doesn't mean that you can't use all these tools that we're learning tonight and in the other classes I teaching you all for free because I want you to have these tools. And then if you get so much value, maybe you'll come help with me. Maybe you'll come help the International Friend Connection in our mission. Um, but yeah, you do not. I would just want to emphasize again: do not feel bad for anything that's not your fault, anything somebody did to you, or how you were born, especially how you were born. So yeah, here's a little thing. And this is more of a metaphor because I had a guy in here before when I talked about it. said like, oh, that really isn't true. But think of this more as a metaphor. So this is more a metaphor of how small steps add up. Like if you practice something, you get 1% better per day. Um, Over a year, you're going to be quite a bit better, and that's going to compound. Like when I talk about how practice a lot of the social stuff's like a video game. Every time you practice, you're getting experience points. Yeah, it's going to hurt. It's like you're getting wounded in the game. You get rejected by some people. That hurts bad. I mean, I've run into a guy who said, I just given up because of how much I've been rejected. And I was that guy who gave up for a long time too, until I started using these tools, the acceptance commitment therapy tools, a lot of these mindset tools. Oh, so, being in the spectrum, or I guess, yeah, the right word now is autistic, tend to be perfectionists. Like if something's not perfect, I won't start it or I won't do it. Like teaching these classes, I put off streaming it on YouTube for the longest time. I hadn't taught them for a half a year. And then finally I'm like, oh, I let my perfections get away and let's just start. Let's have the first class be a train wreck. And yeah, if y'all were here for that first class, that was a little bit of a train wreck. But now every week we're getting better. Yeah, so perfections cause you to delay think, focus that everything in life has to be perfect. We can't see gray areas, We have a lot of black and white thinking, like it's got to be this way, or it's got to be not at all. It can't be a little bit. I would always that was my work history, and then I knew I'd go into autistic burnout. It's like I would work 16 hours a day every day, and then get burnt out and sick for the longest time. Instead of like, hey, maybe we work 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day or 4 hours a day. Some days we're not feeling that great. And then I'm able to get more achieved when I focus on not being perfect. Um, yeah. So a lot of people worry, oh, we got to have our social skills be perfect before we can even go out to a group event. Like on Meetup or Eventbrite or local Facebook group events. I got to say the perfect things. I shouldn't attend till social anxiety's gone. Well, nothing's ever going to be perfect. It's just start. Like I did teaching these classes a few weeks ago, learning all the software, jumping into it. Just start and strive for excellence. Excellence makes you take consistent action despite imperfect conditions, celebrates improvement rather than having to be things perfect. And those improvements stack up. Just ask, if not if this is perfect, did I do better than I did last time? And it's not a straight line. Sometimes you may go out to social events and things will go a lot worse. Then the next week, your mindset's you're in a darker mood and you're not as social, so you want to beat yourself up. But it's not a straight up and down line of progress. Um, yeah. So Viktor Frankl talked about something called tragic optimism. I want to talk a little bit about toxic positivity, because I don't want to get you confused. I don't want to confuse you that I preach toxic positivity, that everything's just all great with the world. No, there's really bad stuff going on in the world. There's real suffering. And like I've suffered, you suffered, we've all suffered, and suffering, I always say suffering is not a contest. Just because someone has suffered worse than you doesn't invalidate your suffering. And positive thinking, like, oh, I'll just ignore it. Let's just think only happy thoughts. That does not work. And over time, it actually increases anxiety and depression. Viktor Frankl talked about tragic optimism, and what tragic optimism is says that yes, life is hard, but we can get through. We can try, and we can work together, and we can get through life. And there may be loss, there may be inescapable pain and suffering, but we can pursue a rich and meaningful life despite life being painful. And that's what tragic optimism is. And then we actually turn out as we shift our mindset. We can have moments of joy, even though the world's falling around us. And having that tragic optimism, it increases our survivability. And in turn, it increases our friends and family survivability, because eventually we'll be able to handle anything. I mean, I've been to a place where I've had to make choices between life and death. I don't know if I can say that in YouTube, but I've had to make choices every day, and every day I had to make that choice, and it was my purpose in life which I'll teach you how to find, that kept me alive. It was my duty to all the people in my groups that kept me alive. So yeah, we haven't gone quite an hour and a half tonight with the class, but pretty good. Hey, I just want to thank you so much for watching this tonight. I'm gonna actually check a minute, see if we still have any viewers with us. We had a decent number of simultaneous viewers. We have more than when I checked before. So I want to ask you some questions to get some feedback from you. Any of this helpful? You learn anything good tonight? Don't want to waste your time. Well, I'll probably put this into a book. I was going to make one book with the whole friend magnet system, but I've been analyzing a lot of this stuff and maybe multiple books. So what's one mindset shift that you got out of tonight that you're kind of looking forward to practicing? Any techniques for improving your friendships? Hey, our buddy Ronan's still here. Great to see you, Ronan. Oh, I'm so happy you're here, dude. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Vicky. Hey, Vicky's watching. So y'all come see Vicky Thursday. Every Thursday, she's at Sweetwater's with the gang. They get great turnouts in Ann Arbor. You're going to meet so many awesome people. But again, now think about what kind of support you need from yourself and other people to maintain consistent practice. And if you want to work together, so we're launching private community, thefriendmagnet.com. I'm going to give you access to all kind of cheat sheets and replays, stuff you can keep on your phone, like amazing connection questions you can ask with people when you go out to events. That's just $9 a month to try it out. We want to put together a group coaching night, I had a $99 a month plan. You get 4 group coaching nights per month. With the $9 plan, we are doing a monthly live Q&A. So y'all submit your questions and I'll just sit for an hour or two and answer all your questions. And that's just $9. I want to make it affordable for everybody. It's like the price of a Big Mac nowadays. Can't believe how much a Big Mac is. But hey, anybody have any other questions? I want to go into the Q&A now, and I'm going to stay here for up to 30 more minutes to answer all your questions. I'm committing to that. Oh, by the way, next week, we're going to move to 7 p.m. I'm going to do this earlier on a Monday because, for people on the East Coast, it's a little bit too late. And some people are saying, like, I'd love to come to your class, but it's a little bit too late at night. So we'll try 7 p.m. So find out more about me, davidgood.org. You can see a lot of TV interviews. I've had 4 TV segments. Thefriendmagnet.com is a private community. Also, internationalfriendconnection.com. You can find a lot of our events there that'll link to our meetup groups. Also, Ronan, that's awesome. You kind of were pretty skeptical, and then now you're so now you're feeling a little bit of hope. So what I'd tell you tonight before you go to bed, think of something you're grateful for. You can say you're grateful for this class, that's fine, but I'd like you to think of something else in the past 24 hours that you have a little bit of gratitude for. And then do it again tomorrow while you're brushing your teeth. That would be the best way to start. We had a lot of great people join tonight. And in the $9 plan too that I got coming up, you'll be able to join an audience via Zoom. And what I do, I give them priority first with the Q&A. Tonight we didn't have too many people in Zoom, but Zoom members always get the priority with the Q&A, and then we go into a chat. And in the future, so first, my plan is to go ahead and we've got next week, it's going to be about navigating friendships and friend groups, boundaries, how to know if people are toxic to be around. Then after that, it's meaning and purpose. And then I'm going to give you the class on how to meet people in person without using dating apps, the long-term strategy. And I was talking with some psychologists about this. They were blown away by what I told them. They did not realize it. It's a little bit of secrets I've learned about women from a lot of my female members that will probably blow you away. Yeah. Yeah, I think, Vicky, you talked about, was it Naruto that talked about how you got to fail a lot to succeed? And, everybody, the billionaires, everybody I have met, all the big CEOs, I've met all the business owners I network with every week. They have failed a ton before they got to where they are. I mean, like I said, Hormozy started 9 businesses. His 10th one took off. 9 businesses failed, and his 10th one took off. So every you can do this correction repeat. Every time you make a mistake, every time you fail, you can't do things that be right after future. Give you a pretty hard to those experience points. You can those experience points. You're not reading yourself out just like that. Here to the mass effect. I'm not mass effect fan. I never played through 3. I'd say it pretty right. And I just started around with my idea. It's like it's just yeah, New York is pretty ridiculous. And she's a fitness expert. Yeah, I'm not gonna see it today. Where I read it. She's a freaking genius. And you find fitness expert. She got a reading business. Oh wow, I maybe messed up. Thanks for letting me know. She got a reading business. So that's what she's already in. And now she's in it. I may get people on doing exercise. I think they're very really silent here for a minute. Let's see if you have any other questions. And we'll see you again next week. Yes, when they sell these, they got international fan connection logo on the back. I may be having a problem with my freaking else. I don't think it's I think I'm gonna do my hair and air the stream for you. Thank you so much for tuning out.